are going to be working this endless bucket hat pattern with a medium 4 cotton yarn. Doesn't really matter the brand as long as it is a worsted weight cotton. This pattern takes approximately 160 yards, and with cotton yarn they usually come in a small skein, so you will need 2 skeins of your main color and just a few yards of your secondary color for this design. And here we go with the magic ring. I know a lot of people do not like this. I'm going to show it for you. I find this to be the easiest way, but if you want to omit this and do, chain 2, attach, whatever, same thing. Next, we are going to work 6 single crochet into the ring. I like to work my single crochet around the non-working yarn tail. Once you have worked your 6 single crochet, pull your non-working yarn tail tight to close the hole. Now we are going to work into that first single crochet that we worked into the ring, and you're going to work a slip stitch. Then you will chain 1 and turn your piece. Next, we will work an increase in each stitch around. An increase will be 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. Continue working your 2 single crochets into each stitch around. When you reach the last stitch, you will slip stitch into the first stitch of that row, chain 1 and turn your piece. Moving on to the third round, we are going to work 1 single crochet in that first stitch. Then we are going to work our increase stitch, 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. Single crochet in 1 stitch, increase in the next. You will end this row with an increase. Moving forward, your odd rows will always end with an increase. When you have worked your last stitch in that row, insert your hook into the top of the first stitch of the row, slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn your piece. Next, we are going to work a single crochet into the first stitch, an increase into the next. Then we are going to work our regular pattern, which is single crochet 2, increase. You will single crochet into the next 2 stitches and add your increase stitch, which is your 2 single crochets, into 1 stitch. And you will repeat only what is between the asterisk to the end. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches, increase in the next. The reason we are doing this is so that our increases are staggered. If all of the increases line up, it ends up becoming a hexagon shape, which is not what we want. We want a circle. And so this is how we do it. And we're going to do this the same method for all of the even rows. When you have reached the end and you've worked your last increase stitch, you'll notice there is one stitch left. That one stitch added to the one stitch plus the increase from the beginning gives us the pattern that we need, 2 single crochet, increase. So add your single crochet into that last stitch, slip stitch to join, chain 1, turn. Moving on to the 5th round, we are going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then we are going to add our increase stitch, which is our 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and you're going to repeat that all the way to the end, and you will end with an increase stitch. Slip stitch to the top of the first stitch of that round, chain 1, and turn your piece. Coming up to round 6, we are working on our next even round. So we are going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we are going to add our increase stitch. Then we are going to work our regular pattern, which is single crochet 4, increase. So you will single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then you will single crochet 2 in the next stitch, your increase stitch. And repeat that around, single crochet 4, increase. Keep in mind that all of the even rows will end with the same number of single crochets that they began with. So for this row, we are going to end with 2 single crochets. So add 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, chain 1, turn. Round 7, we are going to single crochet 5, increase. So you will work 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, and then an increase, which is your 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And you are going to repeat that to the end, ending off with your increase stitch. When you reach the end, you will slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, chain 1, and turn your piece. Working another even row, we are going to single crochet 3, increase, so single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, and then add your increase, which is your 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then we're going to work our regular pattern, which is the single crochet 6, increase. So you will work 1 single crochet into each of the next 6 stitches, and then your increase stitch. And you will repeat that around, single crochet 6, increase. When you've worked your last increase stitch, you will notice again there are 3 empty stitches. The 3 at the beginning and the 3 at the end plus the increase gives us our 6 single crochet increase that we need for the pattern. So you'll work 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches, slip stitch to the top of the first stitch of that row, chain 1, and turn. Round 9, we are going to work 7 single crochet increase. So you will work 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches, and then your increase stitch. And you will repeat that all the way to the end, ending off in your last stitch with an increase. Round 10, another even round, we are going to work 4 single crochet increase. So that's 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then our increase. And then we're going to work our regular pattern, which is single crochet 8 increase. So 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches, and then your increase. You will repeat single crochet 8 increase around to the end, and you will be left with 4 empty stitch spaces. When you have reached the end and you've worked your last increase stitch, work 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches, slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, chain 1, and turn your piece. Moving on to round 11, we are going to single crochet 9 increase. So you will work 1 single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches, increase in the next, and repeat. You will repeat single crochet 9 increase around to the end, ending off with an increase stitch. Round 12 is our final even increasing row. You will work 5 single crochet and then an increase. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches, and then your increasing stitch, which is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then you will work the regular pattern, which is single crochet 10 increase. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches, and then your increase. Repeat single crochet 10 increase to the end. You will have 5 empty stitches remaining. When you have worked your final increase stitch, you will work 1 single crochet into the last 5 stitches of the row, and then you will slip stitch to the first stitch of the row, chain 1, and turn your piece. Round 13, we are going to work single crochet 11 increase. So that's 1 single crochet in each of the next 11 stitches, and then your increase. You will repeat that around to the end, ending off with an increase stitch. Slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, chain 1, and turn your piece. And as you can see here, we've got a nice circle shape happening. There aren't any hard lines or corners like a hexagon, which is what we're going for. Round 14, we're going to be working 2 increases in the row. They are going to be diagonal from each other. You're going to work 38 single crochets and then your increase. So 1 single crochet in the next 38 stitches, increase, repeat the next 38 stitches and increase in that last stitch. And I don't know if I'm the only one, but my finger and cuticle gets really irritated when working with cotton yarn. So I found these finger cots on Amazon and they're really helpful. When you've worked your last increase, you will slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, chain 1, and turn your piece. Now we have created the base of our hat. We are going to be working onto the bucket portion. So for round 15, we are going to back loop only, single crochet 7, and then an increase. So we're going to be working a pattern, and instead of working into both of those loops, we are going to be working through the back loop only. Hopefully I can get you a pretty good view of this. You see the V there? We're going to go just through that back loop, the loop that is away from us. And we're going to be working 1 single crochet into the next 7 back loops. And then our increase, which is our 2 single crochets, will go into the back loop of the next stitch. When working the back loop stitches, you'll notice it's starting to create this lip. That is exactly what we're looking for. Moving forward for the next 10 rounds, we will not be turning our work. So you will slip stitch to join, chain 1, but do not turn. For beginners, I suggest putting a stitch marker around the first stitch of each row, as when we do the turning rows, it's much more obvious where the last stitch is, but I find with the non-turning rows, it can be a little more tricky. So put the stitch marker around the first stitch of each row, and that'll give you a guide. Before we move further into the pattern, I just want to point out that this is the endless bucket hat pattern. So you could use any 90 by 10 grid to create a design that you like. These are some examples. These are just repeating patterns. Also, be sure that you work your pattern from the top down if your design is facing all in one direction. Now to get back to the pattern. This is round 16, which is the first round of the grid we will be working. There is no secondary color in this row, so we will work 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around to the end, slip stitch to join, chain 1, make sure you do not turn. Now we've come to the end, and I just want to show you what it looks like. It is a little bit different than that chain one turn, because the turn gives us some height. So we've got 2 more stitches to work there. I just wanted to show you what it looks like at the end. And if we didn't have the stitch marker there, it might be a little harder to know where that first stitch was because of that one beside it. So I like having the stitch marker. It just helps a little bit. And of course, we're going to slip stitch to join, chain 1, do not turn. Now we are going to take a look at this grid. So always making sure to work the grid in the right direction. Since we're working from the top down, we're going to work the grid from the top down. Keeping in mind that we've already worked that first main color row. We are now going to work row 2 of the grid. Row 2 is where we're going to introduce our secondary yarn color. So row 2 of the grid calls for 2 single crochet of the main color. So what you're going to do is you're going to work your first single crochet in the main color. Get your secondary yarn ready. You're going to work your second single crochet but not fully complete it. On that pull through, you are going to add your secondary yarn color to your hook and pull that through. And that's how we are going to color change here. I pull my non-working yarn strands tight just to keep everything in place, nice and taut. Then work your next single crochet in your secondary yarn color to secure. Now that we have the color change, let's continue to work the grid. So you are going to work 5 single crochets in the secondary color. We have our first one there. You are going to work 1 single crochet in the next 4 stitches. But on that last one, we are going to color change. So you're going to work half of the stitch, and on the pull through, you are going to reach back and grab your main color and pull that through. For this piece, when we're grabbing from the back, we want to make sure that we're not pulling it too tight because this can adjust the shape of our bucket, and we don't want that. It would be better to be a little bit loose because we're going to actually tack it down on the next row. So pulling it from the back, I just put my finger there, make sure it's got a little bit of room, and then I pull through. And then with your main color, you are going to work 10 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in the next 10 stitches with your main color. You are going to repeat this pattern around to the end. 5 secondary color, 10 main color. Keeping in mind that we are always changing the color on the last stitch of that color block. So we will work 9 single crochets and we will change colors on the last half of that last stitch. Alternatively, you could be using bobbins instead of floats, which we're going to be using. There are 6 skulls in this pattern, so you would need 6 bobbins. I prefer floats, so I'm going to continue with the float technique. Always grabbing the floats from the back. You're going to grab it and just make sure that it is not too tight. This is the main thing, because if we're pulling it really tight, we're going to create tension around our heads that we do not want. I know it might seem a little floppy right now, but like I said, we're going to be tacking it down on the next row and it will look very neat. Each row of the grid is all single crochet, so moving forward we're going to speak in MC and SC, which is the main color and the secondary color. Row 3, you will be working 1 main color, and then the pattern becomes 7 secondary color, 8 main color. You will repeat that all the way around. 7 secondary color, 8 main color. Moving forward, we are going to be tacking down our floats from the previous row. So you're going to work your regular stitch just around the float from the previous row. And as you will see, it's just nicely kept in place, and that's all you need. Row 4, you are repeating this sequence from round 3. Moving on to row 5, you will be working 1 main color, 1 secondary color, 2 main color, 1 secondary color, 2 main color, 1 secondary color, and then 8 main color. You will repeat what is between the asterisk to the end. Notice that when we work only one color, it's always going to be only half of the stitch. Row 6, we are repeating the sequence from row 5. Moving on to row 7 of the grid, we have 1 main color, 3 secondary color, 1 main color, 3 secondary color, and 8 main color. You will repeat what is between the asterisks to the end. On to row 8, we have 3 main color, 3 secondary color, and 12 main color. You will repeat what is between the asterisk to the end. Row 9, we are going to be working 2 main color, 1 secondary color, 3 main color, 1 secondary color, and 10 main color. You will repeat what is between the asterisk to the end. And our 10th and final row of the grid, we have 3 main color, 3 secondary color, and 12 main color. You will repeat what is between the asterisk to the end. Next, we are on to the brim of the hat. We are going to be working into the front loop only this time. Same thing as the back loop, just the loop that is facing you. You're going to work 1 single crochet into the front loop only of each stitch around. And you'll notice it creates the same lip as the back loop, only just in the opposite direction. Moving forward, we are going to be turning again at the end of each row. So you will slip stitch to join, chain 1, and turn. Round 27, we are going to work through both loops, single crochet 8, increase. So that's 1 single crochet in the next 8 stitches and your increase, and you will repeat that around to the end. Slip stitch to join, chain 1, and turn your piece. Round 28 to 32, which is the next 5 rounds, you will work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. At this point, my skein of yarn has ran out, so I'm going to add my second skein. It's probably going to take another maybe 10 yards. I'm not sure exactly, and we're going to add it on the same way as we added our secondary yarn color. Round 33, we are going to single crochet 9, increase, so single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches, increase, repeat around to the end, slip stitch to join, chain 1, turn. The last 2 rounds are round 34 and 35. You will work 1 single crochet in each stitch around for both rounds. At the end of round 34, you will slip stitch to join, chain 1, and turn. Round 35 being your last row, you will work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. And to finish off, you will slip stitch to join and fasten off. With a pair of scissors, you want to cut the end of your yarn and pull it through the last stitch. Next, we are going to be sewing in our ends. I recently found these finishing needles and they have changed the game for me. No more struggling to thread a needle. So here's a little example of how I sew in my ends, just in case you need it. The last thing I want to mention is blocking. This hat is made from cotton, and so it is quite rigid. I give my hats a really good steam, and then I let them dry on a foam head overnight, and they are super soft but keep their shape. This is my steamer. It's a regular clothes steamer. I got it from Amazon. It works like a kettle. You just click it on, wait for the steam to come out, and just be really careful with your fingers because it is extremely hot. Make sure that you give it a nice steam, and when it is damp, you just get out your foam head. I was really lucky and found my foam head at the dollar store for only $4, and then you just, mold it on the form and give it about 24 hours and you're good to go. Make sure to like and subscribe for more tutorials like this.